The sequel to the mega popular RTS StarCraft II, Wings of Liberty, is almost here, and we wanted to help you catch up on the story. Whether you played it a couple years ago and forgotten, or maybe you just never played it and you want to jump right into the heart of the swarm, here's a quick story recap to catch you up. The Brood War is over. The Zergified version of Kerrigan has taken the remaining swarm and gathered them on Char, seemingly going quiet. The Dominion has recovered and secured its position as the greatest Terran power in the universe. Led by Arcturus Mengsk, the Dominion works now only to destroy a small rebel faction led by the hero from the previous StarCraft games, Jim Raynor. Things are not going well for Raynor. In their struggle against Mengsk, they're always short on supplies, troops, and that oh-so-precious resource during wartime, hope. Things start to look up though, when Raynor links up with his longtime friend Tychus Finlay, a Marine released from cryo prison. Finlay gets Raynor on board with the mission to steal alien artifacts and sell them to the Mobius Foundation for some cold hard cash. Unfortunately, they encounter an invading Zerg force, which goes on to attack several worlds throughout the Dominion. After licking their wounds, Finlay and Raynor strike out again to capture precious alien relics. Contending with an unruly splinter faction of Protoss as well as the Zerg, the duo keeps trucking on with the Raiders until Raynor is confronted by a past ally, the Dark Templar Zeratul. Zeratul warns Raynor about Kerrigan, spouting off something about how she's the only one that can save them even though she's totally turned into a horrific monster. Zeratul hooks Raynor up with a special crystal that allows him to see into Zeratul's past, where he watches Zeratul search for a prophecy that speaks of a long-gone race known as the Xel'Naga. After a bit of boring old archaeology, Zeratul confronts some Zerg and Kerrigan in a badass fight. Zeratul wounds Kerrigan and leaves with some fragments of the prophecy. Using the prophecy, Zeratul learns something about a fallen one, can you say Kerrigan? And something about a great hungerer. In his infinite wisdom, Zeratul thinks the Great Hunger refers to the now-deceased Overmind, and heads to the lost Protoss homeworld of Ire. After psychically communing with the Overmind's corpse, Zeratul sees the spirit of Tassadar, another corporeally deceased hero from the older StarCraft games. Zeratul learns that the Overmind had been turned evil by the Dark Voice, which is why the Zerg attacked the Protoss rather than being a somewhat normal, if gross and slimy, part of the universe. The big thing Zeratul learns, though, is that the Overmind created Kerrigan, aka the Queen of Blades, as a form of protest, a being with free will who could hopefully save the Zerg from the manipulation of the Dark Voice. Raynor's final vision in the crystal shows him what might be. The destruction of Kerrigan leads to the destruction of everything. With this in mind, Raynor and the Raiders again set out to get the artifacts, something that Kerrigan is also doing. Raynor's hired by the leader of the Mobius Foundation to destroy important data before Kerrigan can get a hold of it, but seeing Kerrigan, Raynor's once-girlfriend, throws him into a low point. After fighting the splinter group of Protoss over another artifact, Raynor's Raiders encounter the Dominion flagship. Raynor jumps at the chance to kill Arcturus Mengsk. Only after boarding, he runs into Mengsk's son, Valerian. Valerian strikes a deal with Raynor to return to the Zerg homeworld of Char and try and rescue Kerrigan from her infestation. The decision to rescue Kerrigan does not sit well with Raynor's Raiders, which leads to a drunken brawl between Tychus Finlay and Raynor. Despite being in full armor, Finlay gets the crap beaten out of him, signaling an end to a long-time friendship. Raynor manages to turn the crew opinion around after explaining to them that, while the Zerg are horrible and pretty evil, they're not as bad as what's out there. Raynor meets up with General Horace Warfield, a Dominion general who kinda thinks Raynor's a bastard, and the two of them hash out a plan alongside Valerian. Despite new alliances and a mission that the crew are now behind, things go bad for the Terrans as they attempt to invade Char. The Zerg launch a preemptive strike, and many initial forces are lost. Through battle and the fact that Raynor saves his ass, Raynor and General Warfield become buddies. After a rousing speech from Raynor and Warfield's forces strike the main hive. The artifact pieces that Raynor have been gathering are finally assembled into a complete artifact. The device is detonated, destroying the Zerg and restoring Kerrigan to a state that looks mostly human. Unfortunately, the drama isn't over. As Raynor enters the hive to rescue Kerrigan, Tychus reveals that he's had a deal with Arcturus Mengsk all along to kill Kerrigan in return for his freedom. Raynor defends Kerrigan, shooting Tychus. Then, just like the traditional Western, Raynor carries his girlfriend off into the sunset. And there you have it. StarCraft II Heart of the Swarm is upon us. We hope that you're prepared to control the swarm. For more on StarCraft II, you can go to IGN.